Hi, Chloe. Good morning. How are you, my darling? Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is election day. I can't even believe I'm saying that because there has been very little to no, not any, but there's been very little conversation around get out the vote this time around. And if I am incorrect, let me know. I've been asking and trying to figure out, how are we doing this? But it is primary day in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure in a few other states around the country before the polls open at 7 a.m. So you want to get out there before you go to work. That's great. Good morning, Marguerite. Good morning. If you want to get out there before you go to work, please feel free to do that. And if not, do it after work. I have a full day today, and I just feel a little like it feels weird, like there's really nothing happening. And tell me how you feel, because I could be wrong. I'm being very careful with my hair this morning because I need to wash it. I was in a bunch of dust yesterday. My Zen space is coming back to normal, and so I should be in there tomorrow morning. And I was in all this dust and ended up infecting my eyes from the dust and the pollen. So I have to wash my hair to get all that stuff out. So I'm being very careful with it this morning. It is. I woke up this morning and I said to my husband, I think I'm going to take the day off. So there's no guest today. So we're going to have we are going to have conversation. We're going to talk, all of us, about what's going on around us and, what's happening in the community. I have a few things that I want to share with you. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, my darling. Um, about, not just the election, but the things that are going on. Good morning, Monica. Good morning, my darling. Good morning to all of you. Uh, I want you all to really take good care of yourselves. And it's easier said than done. It truly is. Oh, you were in Atlanta. I hope you had a good time. It truly is easier said than done. It is not for the faint of heart to get up 3 days a week to go to the gym, to make sure you go to the doctor, to make sure they check on everything with you. I was fussing and complaining with the chiropractor yesterday, and he says, "But you're aging really well, Andrea. Like you're taking good care of yourself." And I'm not really sure people understand how much it requires to do all of that and the gratitude that I feel that I have health insurance, right? uh, that I can make a phone call and go to the doctor and go get a mammogram and go get this done and go get that done and go to the eye doctor. And if I didn't have insurance, I would have just sat there, putting eye drops in my eyes and not realizing that I had an infection in my eye when I went to see Dr. Archima yesterday. She looked at my eye, she says, "Ooh, my eyes turn green." She put this thing in my eye, and apparently when it turns a certain color, it tells you what it is. So she had to get an antibiotic for me too, to put in my eyes. But my eyes turned green and it was completely infected. And I have collagen plugs. I don't know if many of you know about that. We suffer from dry eyes. And when we suffer from dry eyes, I am able to go to the ophthalmologist and get collagen plugs. My insurance will cover it. And she sticks them in the corner of my eye, deep inside the eye pocket. And then my eyes lubricated for a month, 2 months, 3 months. I have the 3 month plugs. And so I thought I needed more plugs because my eyes were so dry and grainy. And I was seeing, like when I would look, I would see like all this debris in front of my eye, like little floating things. And thank God I described to her what I was seeing. She went into my eyes. She said, "Girl, your eyes are so infected between the dust," because remember, my Zen space flooded. And so they had to grind the floors and take up so all that dust was spreading. And I was down there yesterday putting all the pieces back together and sweeping. So my eyes were really in bad shape. Today I feel much, much better because eye drops are working. But what about folks who can't, who don't have the wherewithal? I never ever take for granted. Excuse me, I'm trying to get my water bottle. I never ever take for granted the idea that I'm able to do the things that most people do. And so I'm grateful for that. Lenfest is having Every Voice, Every Vote. Let me talk to you about that a little bit so that we can, because they've been trying. And of course, Black folk, we are always trying to not, so they want to hear from you. It's called Philly Pulse Community Poll. Are you a resident of Philadelphia? Are you 18 years or older? Do you care about improving your community? So, this is from Every Voice, Every Vote, a part of the Lenfest Foundation. Every voice, every vote wants to hear about the issues that matter to you and your ideas for how to improve our city. Share your feedback today to help make an impact in your community. So, the website below is phillypulsepoll.com. That's Philly, PhillyllyPulse. So Philly Pulse Poll, POLL.com. I'd like for you to go on. They don't have, we black folk, we don't take these polls, but we need to have our voices heard. And when I get off the air, I'm going to take the poll myself. You have to be you have to be a resident of Philadelphia. You have to be 18 years or older, and you have to care about improving your community. If that's where you are, then please please fill out this poll and get it back to them. They would really appreciate it. Let me also do this, and I'm going to open up the news. I'm exhausted, y'all. Went to bed last night. Every part of my body hurt when I went into my Zen room as they were putting the folks were putting the pieces back in. They didn't want to step on my epoxy floor, so it was crazy. They just kept looking down at it and marveling and going, oh my God, this floor is so amazing." They had never seen an epoxy floor before. So they were laying down cardboard and bringing in the pieces gently. And while they were doing that, I was in another section of the space, dusting and cleaning and reorganizing. And Lord, my poor body hurts. Getting old is not for the faint of heart. So let me read a little bit of news and then we can talk. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday allowed the Trump administration to strip legal protections from 350,000 Venezuelans, potentially exposing them to deportation. The court's order, with only one noted dissent, puts on hold a ruling from a federal judge in San Francisco that kept in place temporary protected status for the Venezuelans that would have otherwise expired last month. The justices provided no rationale, which is common in appeals. The status allows people already in the United States to live and work legally because their native countries are deemed unsafe for them to return due to natural disaster or civil strife. 350,000 people are now in peril. I just, speaking of, President Donald Trump on Monday signed into law the Take It Down Act, a measure that imposes penalties for online sexual exploitation that First Lady Melania Trump helped usher through Congress. And he had her sign it too, despite what sounded like a mild objection on her part. "Come on, sign it anyway," the president told his wife. "She deserves to sign it," he said. After she added her signature, the president showed the document bearing both of their names to the audience at the signing ceremony in the White House Rose Garden. We are living in the twilight zone. It is unheard of that the spouse of the President of the United States signs a federal document. Is it me? Has it been done before? Whoo, my Lord. Mm-mm-mm. Melania Trump's signature is merely symbolic because first ladies are not elected and have no formal role in the signing of legislation. In March, Melania Trump used her first public appearance since resuming the role of First Lady to travel the capital city to lobby House members to pass the bill following its approval by the Senate. This is Associated Press News article. Here we go again with Sean Diddy Combs. Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, completed her testimony after 4 days on the stand. During cross-examination on Friday, Combs' defense team, good morning, Renee, honey. Combs' defense team challenged the credibility of of her rape accusation. Earlier this week, she described freak-offs in graphic detail. In addition to Ventura, so far, prosecutors have called a security guard who responded to the 2016 Los Angeles hotel incident involving Combs and Ventura a man who testified he was paid to have sex with Ventura with Combs present, a special agent who photographed the scene of Combs' 2024 arrest, and Danity Kane, singer Dawn Richard, who was on the stand when court ended Friday, testified she saw Combs attack Ventura in his kitchen. Combs is charged with racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, 2 counts, and transportation for purposes of prostitution, 2 counts. Mm. I must confess that I'm not following this at all. I'm not. I can't. I just cannot. Um, Sean Diddy again. After Sean Diddy Combs brutally assaulted Cassandra Cassie Ventura in a hotel lobby in 2016, he showed up to her apartment and tried to break down her door with a hammer, her friend testified. Following the attack, which was caught on a hotel video camera showing him kick her, drag her, and throw an object at her, Ventura had a black eye. Her friend Kerry Morgan told the Manhattan courtroom on Monday, May 19th. She had her hoodie over her head and she was kind of slumped and dropped her bags, Morgan said. About 30 minutes later, Morgan testified Combs showed up to Ventura's apartment and tried to break down her door with a hammer. He was hitting the door with a hammer to try and open it, she testified. He was yelling. I could hear him. On one occasion, Combs allegedly assaulted Morgan herself using a wooden hanger. What is going on? This again was written by people.com. In local news, a person was hit by a SEPTA bus in Northeast Philadelphia on Monday, according to a spokesperson with the transit agency. The crash happened on May 19th near the intersection of Cotman and Castor Avenues when a Route 77 bus struck a person, officials said. The person who was hit was taken to a nearby hospital where they are in stable condition, according to SEPTA. This crash is under investigation. This was NBC 10 Philadelphia News that wrote this article. Residents living in West Philadelphia neighborhoods of Overbrook Park, Carroll Park, Mill Creek, and Mantua, who rely on the 31 bus to head into Center City, will have to find alternative transportation in the coming months. The 31 bus is expected to stop running in the fall, but it's not because there aren't any rides on board. Instead, there are about 35 people each hour on average who ride between 76th Street and City Hall, according to SEPTA's route performance data. That's more passengers than 32 other bus routes that will continue operating, data shows. And the cost of operation is about $5.20 per passenger for the 31 bus, which is below average. So then why are they taking it down? That's interesting. The jury trial for former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial was scheduled to begin yesterday. Dial is facing third-degree murder in the death of Eddie Irizarry in August 2023. Dial was initially charged with first-degree murder, but the district attorney withdrew that charge in August. Dial has been out on $200,000 bail ever since. The defense had argued that prosecutors did not turn over an expert witness on Pennsylvania's use of force law that pushed the trial back until this month to give Dial's Time team to respond to that report. That was by WHYY.org. Mm-mm-mm. We are living in the twilight zone. The Trump administration will pay nearly $5 million to the family of Ashley Babbitt, the Trump supporter who was shot and killed while in the mob breaching the House Speaker's lobby on January 6, 2021. Outgoing U.S. Capitol Police Chief Tom confirmed to CBS News he was informed that the Justice Department had agreed to make the payment to Babbitt's family to settle its wrongful death claim. Manger told CBS News he learned of the settlement amount a few weeks ago, and the same day sent a message to the entire force expressing his dismay. I told them I was extremely disappointed and I disagreed with the Department of Justice decision to settle the lawsuit, he said in a phone call on Monday. This was written by CBS News. So let me see if I get this straight. This is why I keep telling you all to be incredibly mindful. Good morning, Debbie Womack. To be incredibly mindful about what's happening right now in this country. This woman was a part of the what that was called insurgents by the national news and all around the country. Tried to get into. You saw what they did on January 6th. Broke into the Capitol because they wanted to take the country back because they believed Donald Trump had won the election and not Joe Biden. What ensued was the harm of many police officers. A few of them died, and it was just a horrible time. Now we're looking at those same insurgents. The minute that the president got into office, he pardoned all of them for maybe except two or three. And this one woman who had the police officer had to shoot and kill because she was breaching and trying to get into the places where the Congress people were. They're now saying that it was a wrongful death, that she didn't deserve to die, and they're going to pay $5 million. You tell me, am I the crazy one? Am I the crazy one? I'm just asking. I am just asking. Now, juxtapose that with another group for Black Lives Matter who was walking down peacefully, and they had armed guards and police officers, and you know, folks from the Lord Jesus. It is, if I sound confused to you, is because there's so much going on at one time, so much, and you're just trying to figure out how to navigate all of this. A body was found in Bordentown, New Jersey. uh, it is that of a man who has been missing since a boat capsized in the Delaware River a week earlier. The remains of a 51-year-old Enrico Ross was discovered in the Crosswicks Creek in the Bordentown Yacht Club on Sunday. Ross, a resident of King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, was ejected during the boating accident on May 10th near the Route 1 bridge in Trenton. Oof, my lord. SEPTA workers. Good morning, Anton Moore. How are you, my darling? We're all over on YouTube and on Facebook with the A Lawful Truth page. SEPTA workers bring their funding battle to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, on the ornate steps of the rotunda of the state capitol on Tuesday. Hey, honey, hope you're doing well. The state capitol on Tuesday, May 13th, transit union members held signs that read, "Transit moves us with a heart for the O and a lot on the line. People are scared," said SEPTA employee John Lipscomb, who made the trip to Harrisburg along with colleagues and fellow union members. They are afraid. What if we don't get funding? If SEPTA has to cut, by 50%, what's going to happen to us? SEPTA's interim general manager says hiring would stop first, but layoffs could happen next spring if the transit agency doesn't get the funding it needs and falls into the death spiral it says it's nearing. SEPTA has said it needs funding to bridge a 213 million budget deficit and stop a plan to start cutting bus routes in August and increasing fares in September. That was written by NBC Philadelphia News. Uh, SEPTA's had some situations for a long time now, some issues, and part of it is that the funding that they're looking for, some of it is coming from the federal government, and it has not yet been signed over. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But again, the president. Former President Joe Biden was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer, according to a statement from his personal office on Sunday, and it has spread to his bones. Last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis to the bone. The statement said it's continued. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. I need you all to know that I have friends, and I'm reaching out to one. He has not responded to me, and I hope he is okay. I have friends who have metastatic prostate cancer, and they're managing. They know this is not going to end well, but they've been managing for months, one at least for over a year. So this is not an immediate death sentence for President Joe Biden. And because he was president of the United States, they're going to do everything to make sure he's okay for at least a little while longer until they can't anymore. Lord have mercy. I can't. Donald Trump Jr. took shots at Joe Biden's family as the former president battles an aggressive form of prostate cancer, hours after Joe's office announced on Sunday, May 18th, that he had been diagnosed with the disease on Friday, May 16th. Trump Jr. shared a post on X that seemed to imply those closest to Joe, 82, had either overlooked or hidden his illness. What I want to know is, how did Dr. Jill Biden miss stage 5 metastatic cancer, or is this yet another cover up? President Donald Trump's eldest son, 47, wrote of the 73-year-old former First Lady, whose doctorate degree is in education. So she's not a medical doctor. Ish, cheese and crackers. Joe Biden's exit from American politics was never going to be easy after a lifetime in public office that ended with an unprecedented turnaround on whether to seek a second term. The former president has watched his mental acuity increasingly scrutinized and his White House legacy systemically steamrolled by his successor. All this in 4 months since he moved out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, the announcement that Biden 82 has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer, one that has metastasized to the bone, has prompted a surge of sympathy and compassion, but it has also underscored growing questions and, among some top Democrats, anger about his initial decision to run for re-election despite signs of physical frailty and the reality of advanced age. Hmm. When Joe Biden ran for office and won in 2020, the thing he said he was never going to run again. He was only going to do it for one term. I mean, he'd been a public servant his entire life. I think part of his legacy is going to be people digging into why he decided to run again, despite all the things that were going on with him. That if he had gotten to 2022 and it's 2 years before the election, why hadn't there been other people on board at that point? Why did they wait? And when I say they, the president and everybody around him wait until 4 months before the elections themselves to say that he was stepping down, given what they had known years before. That is going to be a part of his legacy. All the good things that he had done have been, that'll be a part of it too. But I feel like there's a whole story behind the story, and we're not going to know for a while. People are talking, some of those Democrats who waited till the last second to push him, in the public eye, really gave everybody a feeling that, what can we do? And then they asked the black woman, Kamala Harris, to make soup out of stones in 4 months. She had to show up after being in the public eye for 4 years before that, barely having any connect connection with the public in the terms of running for office. She had to be vice presidential, and there were certain things that she had to do. She had certain roles, so she couldn't be out front and public because there was still a whole president of the United States. So it was, there was a whole lot going on there. And she too will have a story. They're talking about her possibly running again, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. But again, I'm not her, so we'll see. Or maybe she'll get seated to the Supreme Court at some point. I don't know. We'll see, because so much is going on and so much has shifted in this country. I'm not sure that we will ever get back to this place that we always knew as these United States of America. But I'm just talking. Jamal Roberts is the newest American Idol. Good morning, Stella Morin. Is the newest American Idol during season 23 finale on Sunday, May 18th. Roberts was crowned the winner of the singing competition show. Ryan Seacrest said he won following what was the biggest finale vote in show history. He was up against John Foster and Brianna Nix, who placed second and third, respectively. The star sang Her Heart by Anthony Hamilton to mark his win. That was people.com. A refurbished basketball court at a Los Angeles park was unveiled Monday in a tribute to Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old Gianna. The court at Atlantic Avenue Park in the East Los Angeles area was refurbished by Body Armor Sports Drink and the Mamba and Mambacita Sports Foundation. The court features a design with colors and symbols that honors legacies of the Lakers' great and daughter Gianna. The purple and gold court has the phrase "Play Gigi's Way" on a sideline, and Kobe and Gianna Bryant's logo surrounded by butterflies at midcourt. The 24 and 2 inside free throw circle are nods to their jersey numbers. Ooh, child. I'm going to open this up and look at some of these comments because you all are talking. Somebody said they're bird brains. I can't take it. All right, let's see. All right. Good morning, Tiffany. Melissa, good morning. Good morning, Laverne. She said we paid someone to handle the dust for us. I couldn't handle it. So the dust that I saw was supposed to be minimal, right? They had been dusting the entire time they were grinding the floors, dusting the walls, wiping down the wall. It was crazy, the amount of dust. And so I was just doing the, little bit of layers on the windowsills, and it still got to me. But like when you're handling dust, and I'm going to have some folks come down there to clean, but when you're handling dust, wear goggles and wear a mask. I didn't do any of that stuff, and it really caught up with me. I was just throwing things and having myself a good old time. So yes, uh, Alexandra says, I'm popping in from Clinton Heights Borough Hall to say, please get out and vote. Yes, this morning is primary day. Polls open in 5 minutes. I'm going to ask you all to please get out there and vote today. There are judges up for election. There is the DA, the district attorney's race between Pat Dugan and Larry Krasner. The judges are absolutely important. I have asked you over and again to do your research, see who these judges are. You've met at least one here on this broadcast, Henry, who I was completely impressed with. I saw Kia Gee, another one. There are quite a few of them out there that are running for judge in the common pleas and the municipal court. So please go out there and vote. Do your research. Google them before you go out this morning if you haven't had an opportunity to meet them and to talk to them. Marguerite says her son and she and her son rides the 31 bus often. We have to find out why they're shutting it down since they have an average of 35 people on it. Yeah. Monica said, wait, what the hell? I have not heard of this suit. Yes, yes. It happened very quietly. You're talking about Babbitt. Yes, yes, yes. Getting $5 million. Uh, Alexandra said, yet nothing about helping the residents of St. Louis and Kentucky. When I say we are who we are waiting for, I've said this uh, over and again. Please, 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 this time is not for us. Seriously. So we're going to help ourselves and really go out and vote. Wayne Alton Williams says, good morning. I'm using Michael Cord's list. Okay. Laverne says, they told child care we are not at the top for funding because SEPTA being the priority. Ooh, wee. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. So the children are at the bottom of the list again. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we're in a space. We're in a space, and I don't know what's going to happen with all of it, Laverne. And I feel your pain. Our children need the support, but grandparents are going to have to step in to help as much as possible. The village is going to have to step in to help as much as possible. My husband and I, help with our 4 grandchildren all the time because we know what it is like. Summer camp is ridiculous. Why is everything so expensive? Lord Jesus, it's a lot. It's absolutely a lot. So please go out there and vote. Encourage people to vote. I'm encouraging you to go out and vote this morning. Don't sit at home just because there hasn't been much about it. Please do not sit at home. Tiffany says SEPTA is so mismanaged. They get the funding, and in less than a year, they'll be singing the same tune. I've had folks from SEPTA who work for SEPTA who spoke about the mismanagement of funds, but they say when they open up to talk about it, they're punished. They're absolutely punished. And so every year, to your point, Tiffany, there's more conversations about it. And I see Leslie left and landed in another cushy position somewhere. It's just, it's a lot. I'm seeing popping up vote number 13, Tanisha Henry. She is out here on Instagram letting folks know to get out and vote. Let me see. Laverne says, so they're all bird brains. Is it possible he stepped down because of cancer? Metastatic cancer usually can be managed for 2 years. I don't know. What I know about prostate cancer and the men, and I've talked to a zillion men about prostate cancer now, and I've done some podcast episodes around them, is that for a long time they feel no symptoms. They don't feel any symptoms, or they're having trouble urinating, but they're like, I'll work it through. So it's possible that he could have been sitting on this prostate issue until it got so bad he had to address it. So he may not have known. He probably did not know until he was, he went to the hospital and had it checked. Um, Marguerite says we won't know until he has succumbed to his disease. Yeah. Good morning, Jasenia. Uh, she says they have one of those Kobe Bryant's courts outside of Tustin Rec Center in Overbrook for Kobe Bryant. Yep. Alexandra says, even if you're an independent voter, you can vote in the questions on the ballot. Philadelphia has 3 ballot questions. Huh. Well, hold on. Hold on. Let me look this up. Ballot questions in Philadelphia. Because I want to see what they are in Philadelphia. Good morning, Eleanor Watts. How are you? Philadelphia. Let's see. Ballot questions in Philadelphia. Let's see. I'm going to look and see what it says. So it says here in CityCast Philly, no thank you. It's time to vote in Philly's primary election. We've covered the stances of district attorney candidates Larry Krasner and Pat Dugan, and we've broken down who's running in the judicial races. Due to Pennsylvania being a closed primary state, you can only vote Tuesday for a candidate in your registered party, Democrat or Republican. However, anyone can vote on the city's ballot questions, regardless of party affiliation. And there are 3 questions Philly wants you to vote on. So get out there and vote, please. The ballot questions are proposed amendments, changes to Philly's home rule. Good morning, sweetie pie. Home rule charter. Think of the charter as Philadelphia's constitution. These changes are voted on and approved by the city council, but voters get the final say. Here are the changes up for consideration. If you don't show up and vote, you will not have a say. Should the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended to create the Office of Homeless Services Ombudsman to assist residents experiencing homelessness, help provide fair access to essential resources, improve quality of life in the shelter system, investigate client complaints, and provide oversight and recommendations to the city's providers services, homeless services? An ombudsman is an independent government employee assigned to look into and resolve complaints made by those receiving the public service. An ombudsperson for the Office of Homeless Services would seek to hold the office accountable by monitoring the city's efforts to address homelessness and investigates issues like misuse of funding. According to the Pew Charitable Trust, more Philadelphia residents experience homelessness than ever before in 2024, and the rate increased from the prior year by 10%. It is estimated the new position will cost $500,000 to create. You get to vote yes or no on this. The second question is, should the Home Rule Charter be amended to increase the minimum amount that must be appropriated for spending on housing trust fund purposes in the city's operating budget each year? The Philadelphia Housing Trust Fund was created in 2005 to meet the housing needs of low income residents. Philadelphia's zoning code allows for developers to make a payment to the Housing Trust Fund if they want to increase the density of their housing projects, but are restricted in doing so due to the zoning code. These payments are made in lieu of adding more price fixed affordable housing units to their projects. However, these payments aren't legally bound. Jesus. However, these payments are not legally bound to be used by the Housing Trust Fund and are often appropriated elsewhere. A change to the charter will require all funds go directly to the trust. Mayor Parker's administration opposes the change, stating that they need flexibility in spending. So it's yes or no. The Home Rule Charter be amended to increase the minimum amount that must be appropriated for spending on housing trust fund purposes in the city's operating budget? That's a yes or no question, right? So there's that. And the third question is, shall the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended to provide for the creation of an independent Philadelphia Prison Community Oversight Board and Office of Prison Oversight, and to further authorize City Council to determine the composition, powers, and duties of the board and office? Philadelphia's prison system has raised alarms through the years due to overcrowding, staffing shortages, violence, and other poor conditions. While the Philadelphia Prison Advisory Board does exist, it is housed within the Department of Prisons. Creating the Community Oversight Board would form an independent watchdog to meet with staff and incarcerated individuals to learn what is happening inside the prisons and report back to City Council. So those are the three questions. I need you guys, if you're an independent, but you can't vote Democrat or Republican, please still go to the voting polls and vote on these three questions in the Philly home rule charters, right? So if you don't vote, your voice will not be heard and think decisions will be made, and you're going to be mad if those decisions are made and you don't agree with them and you did not show up to vote in the primary. uh Laverne says, while everything is going up in price, childcare is not expected to. And so I don't. Mm, 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 mm. Lord have mercy. Viola says, my mother had breast cancer. When she made transition, metastatic bone disease was on her death certificate as the cause of death due to cancer. Okay. 3-year fight. Lena says, I think he knew he had something going on and was running so he could not pass the torch so he could pass the torch to Kamala because he didn't want to run again. There are people who think he wanted to run again. Someone said they thought his wife convinced him, but we will never know. So I don't want to speculate about this, right? Viola says, first time I've heard that about voting. Please go out and vote, please. Just want to make sure. Come on, y'all. Did I get this? All right, so there we are. I want to read something to you. Last Friday, Reverend Al Sharpton was invited to a breakfast here in Philadelphia, and all the muckety mucks were in the room. And, Al Sharpton being Al Sharpton, he did not bite his tongue, and he had quite a bit to say. This is written by Sherelle B. McNair for Black Enterprise magazine. Civil rights leader, just make sure. Civil rights leader Reverend Al Sharpton called out leaders of the Black community for having Negro amnesia, accusing them of adding to the increasing racial divide in the United States. The Philadelphia Tribune reports the accusations came during the inaugural interfaith prayer breakfast, a nonpartisan event featuring Christian, Jewish, and Muslim clergy members, hosted by City Council President Kenyatta Johnson, Democrat, Pennsylvania, where Sharpton was the keynote speaker. Held at the Crystal Tea Room in Center City, Sharpton called out Black leaders he feels showcases their success without giving credit to their past struggles and those before them. We got a generation that doesn't want to be tested, Sharpton says. If we're going to turn this country around, we're going to have to come back together. Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker made an appearance and supported some of Sharpton's sentiments by laying out the three tools: nonviolent protests, court cases, and voting that Black civil rights leaders once successfully used to get their point across. I'm proud to be here because they were one of our teachers, Parker said. I can give this to Mayor Parker. She always goes back and talks about the people who came before her every single time. Gussie Clark and the rest of them, and she does it without fail every single time. She remembers. She said, "You were out front before it was a popular thing to do. It became before it became a sexy thing to do." While giving a shout out to Reverend Jesse Jackson and Philadelphia's late Reverend Leon Sullivan as two of his faith members, Sharpton pointed the finger at people who feel religion exists for personal gain and touched on being invited to speak before congregations but being asked to limit his talks on politics and civil rights. Sharpton feels religion and politics go hand in hand as books of the Bible tell tales of struggles and overcoming oppression. To fight back, he announced, according to the New Pittsburgh Courier, a march on New York City's Wall Street to commemorate August 28th as the 62nd anniversary of the March on Washington. Sharp is carrying on the legacy of civil rights leaders that he stood with by adding pressure to President Donald Trump for his executive order that resulted in companies abandoning diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives just years after increasing them following the death of George Floyd in 2020. If we don't have diversity in the C suite, if if you don't have diversity in your boards, if you don't have diversity in employment, then you shouldn't have diversity with your consumers, Sharpton said. We're not begging. We're paying for the right to get what everybody else gets. Johnson said the event was a success with 600 tickets selling out. He said the point was for attendees to get the experience of all of our faith leaders here in the city of Philadelphia, in addition to elected officials. Um, so, okay. All right. Okay. Just tell me your thoughts. I was called and told about the prayer breakfast, the morning of the prayer breakfast. And I was just like, all right, y'all go on. Because I am truly trying to figure out what is the plan for the people of this city? Where are we going? Should disaster strike this country? What is happening for us, as the Reverend Al Sharpton said, where we're spending our money and we don't get the employment, which is what I love about the Reverend Dr. Leon H. Sullivan, who picked up the mantle in this city after Leon H. Sullivan died. Who? And if there are people who are doing it like Joel Austin and others, why are we ignoring them to our own peril? Why are we not listening about how to build black wealth or to build wealth in this city? Why are we not coagulating our efforts and our funds to make sure that we can have the things that we need? Why is it so much easier to moan and complain and point fingers than to actually do the damn work? Why? Why is it that when we show up, and if this doesn't apply to you, let it fly? Why is it that when we show up in spaces of leadership, too many of us are mediocre? We just want the pictures and why is it that the people in this city are so often uh, starstruck about public servants who should be doing the work? What is happening to us? What's happening? And child, I don't know. Make me understand because I don't get it. And I keep talking about this. Yeah, Marguerite says, Madam Mayor, no, she did not make it by herself. And she says it all the time. I did not do this by myself, which, by the way, I forgot to tell you all this. Councilmember Anthony Phillips just got his PhD. Never said a word about it. His aunt posted about it on Facebook. I opened up the thing and I was like, wait, that's Phillips. Anthony Phillips is now Dr. Anthony Phillips is sitting in city council. So, we really want to. And when we show up to city council and we're fussing and complaining, I want us to offer to be a part of the solution, not just complain about the problems. If you don't know something, say, I don't know, and I could use some help in getting that thing done. I am incredibly concerned about us. I really am. And not just as the city, you see Maryland, they had a black governor, a black mayor in Baltimore. They're kicking game, and you just see all this excellence showing up in one way or another. I just need us. I need us to question the status quo. And I'm talking about the leaders. I need us to question the status quo. There are a couple of people in city council that are fighting behind closed doors, questioning the status quo, wanting to figure out. Now they're trying to find an ombudsman for homeless services. You know why? Millions of dollars were not accounted for, and they couldn't figure out in the Office of Homeless Services. And it was City Council member Catherine Gilmore Richardson who put her entire body on the line and started having meetings and having discussions, and she brought it to the forefront. This is what I think we should be looking for. But when our leaders step forth and ask the questions, we have to support them because she kept saying all this money is gone and we're nowhere near where, and they couldn't account for it. Where's the money? How did the money go? Where did the come in? And she caught all kinds of hell, speaking up on behalf of the people of this city. And so we have to be better. um I said last week that I reached out to the leader of Martin Luther King, of the Philadelphia School District, about Martin Luther King High School. Let me see if I can find this email. Because I have all this stuff here. let me see. Let me see. So what I'm gonna do is find the information that was sent to me, because when I'm talking to you, I want to give it to you the way it was given to me. There's some serious issues happening in the Martin Luther King High School. And since Monique Braxton did not get back to me, other than the initial email text message to say that she was away and she'd be back within 24 hours, and no one else reached out to me, I'm going to tomorrow morning discuss what is going on at Martin Luther King High School in great detail. Uh, and I want you all, if you have family members there or children that are attending that school, to sit down and start to call the school district of Philadelphia and ask them en masse. Don't just do one person or two people. We have been behind the scenes asking these questions over and again, over and again. I wish I could find the email now. I'm not prepared for it, so I just want to make sure that I have it. Hold on. Let me, if I can find it, you'll hear it today. Uh, Uh, I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna reach. I'm gonna look for it later on today and find it so that you can hear, because I want you to. There are accusations of the children paying for their prom pictures and their stuff for graduation up front. And then the vendors called in and saying they never got half of the money. There are accusations that just all kinds of crazy things happening there. They have no teachers. There are accusations that the vice principals are literally running the school. There are accusations that the principal doesn't show up except maybe once or twice a week, and then when she comes, she leaves within the hour. I want to tell you about all of it. Right, all of it. That other principals from other schools have reached out to area superintendents to say this is a thing that folks have tried to help and support, and nothing is changing. Um, it's just it's absolutely bananas over there. That the accusation that the children are leaving out through the back door and the door is being cocked open, and the people who are supposed to be doing security, they're at the front. They don't go to see where the children are coming in and out. The building is in complete disarray. The vice principals have asked and asked and asked. The alumni association have asked and asked and asked what is happening. They've reached out and talked to a bunch of people. That school is in an emergency state. And so tomorrow morning, and then the teacher absenteeism there is something else. And what we keep hearing is nobody cares about King. Nobody cares about King. So I'm alarmed. Uh, and so we tomorrow morning when I have a moment, I'm going to pull up all those emails because I want to give you the direct details because I have the data in front of me. It was sent to me. I've reached out to the school district. Pastor Waller, who has an invested interest in that school, reached out to him. He reached out to the school district. And so this is not something that we've just been happening suddenly. It's been going on for a while. The vice principals are doing a yeoman's job over there, but they're getting frustrated. So at least one is leaving and going to get her own school. And so just a lot is happening. The teachers are frustrated. Everybody knows what's going on. It's a mess. So we're trying to figure out. So the folks that are in the building are saying that they've been trying to support the principal, but she doesn't really want any help. They've been keeping it quiet that all these things were going on over there. And so we just need to figure out what happens for these young people. They are a part of the school district of Philadelphia, and they need a ton of support, and somebody needs to get into that building, investigate to the fullest extent. You've got cameras, you can see when people are coming in and out, you can see when folks are coming in and leaving an hour later. Like, how is the building being run with no leader in there several days a week? With the principal gone several days a week. So I will definitely bring that back to the forefront so we can have a more serious conversation about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Out just intensely crazy. And folks don't want to be questioned. And so what I'm trying to figure out, what we're all trying to figure out, is why is this allowed to continue to happen? What about the children that are there? And parents have been putting their children bit by bit. Like, I'm not. There are no teachers. We don't have teachers in here. If it's not the absenteeism, it's the fact that they actually don't have. The one girl that was written in the Philadelphia Inquirer hadn't had an English teacher for over. Like, what is going on? right? How is it okay for children to be in school and not have a teacher? Core subjects: math, English, science, history. No core subject teacher. Renee Mills says, I am on the alumni board, and the school district has almost $100,000 that a donor gave us towards renovating the libraries. The students have no study space. I am the treasurer. And so, Renee, I don't understand what's going on there, because where. I heard about that part too, about the library and trying to figure out, and the money. I don't even know if the money being used. I don't know for the library. Has the library shifted and changed since the last time I saw it? Right. Um, Winetta Smith says all of MLK alum just had a big event at Jacobs Formal. Students need to be informed. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. But we need to talk about this. I saw this. I think Rich Waugh was a part of that. And had I even thought about it, I would have gone there and addressed them about what's going on in that school, because we can't seem to get anybody from the Philadelphia School District to have a discussion about it. Now, I made sure I reached out to them before I began opening my mouth. And I told them we have been doing this investigation for over 9 months, if not longer. But those students deserve better. They absolutely deserve better. It's insane. Insane. So it is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think the part that stuns me the most, and when I heard it, was that the principal was showing up one day a week, was only staying for an hour, and disappearing. So the building was being run by the assistant principals. And so I called some other principals and I said, because I said, do an investigation for me. Tell me. One principal called me back and said, I can't believe that I'm saying this to you, but it is absolutely true. And so what do we do? How do we navigate through this? Why is this okay for students and educators and vice principals to sit in a situation like this? Why is this okay? Why is this okay? And since no one seems to want to get back and have the dialogue to talk about what is happening over at King, it is now my duty to have that conversation on their behalf, because they're tired. They're tired. The alumni, if I hear from the alumni one more time, the alumni is just beside themselves around what's going on over there, and no one seems to be addressing it. So here we go. Tomorrow morning, I will pull up the detailed email that I have with all the data inside of it, because this is not just conjecture. And if you are an alumni of, because it's the educators will not talk for obvious reasons. They'll talk to me, but they will not come on the air and talk about it. But if anyone from the alumni would like to come on and have a conversation with me about what they know. In fact, when that young girl was in the Philadelphia Inquirer, did we hear anything from the Philadelphia School District to address what she said? Did we? I know somebody showed up over there to do a little bit of investigation after the article hit the Inquirer and it was made public. But why do we have to go through this? What is wrong? Why are our children living like this? Why are some schools more important than others? Insane. Absolutely insane. Renee says, I am the 1977 first graduating class. And King, we had a dynamic school. Um, she says, we were trying to get answers to where our donor contribution is. The whole team that handed our funds have moved on to other positions. She said, it is scary walking through the hallways and there are no NTAs. I will inform the board to tune in. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's I am saddened, because these are children too. These are children that are supposed to be a part of society. The parents are saying that they feel like their children are throwaways in that building, right? It's a huge building that can fit way more people that are in, that are than that are inside it. What's happening there? What are they planning to close King? Are they planning to, I'm asking the question, I'm not making a statement, I'm asking a question. Are they planning to close King? Are they planning to do something else with that building? What is going on at Martin Luther King High School? What? So I'm gonna dig, because it's about children. It's always about the children and their families and the educators who are doing their very best to give what they need. So we'll find out. We will absolutely find out. All right, my darlings, it's 7:24. I'm going to get off the air now. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. I got to make a mental note to pull up the stuff email about King. Email. Don't forget to go out and vote today. All right. It is primary day. There are judges on the ballot. There are district attorneys on the ballot, district attorney race on the ballot. And there are three questions. If you are an independent, make sure you still go out to answer those questions. You may not be able to vote, but you can answer the questions. It all matters, y'all. It absolutely all matters. This episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye bye. Bye, darlings. Bye bye. Still on the air. Ain't that something?